How long has the project been running? Has it started yet, or?
Yeah, this project is nearly over. We've got about 5 participants to recruit left. It started, funny enough, we actually recruited Eve the same month we went into lockdown.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we've had a number of barriers in this, in the fact that we've had delays due to pools not being open.
Ah, of course, yeah.
A 1-year study has turned into a 2-year study, essentially. We've had to do extensions.
Have you seen any positive changes? Like, can you tell me any of the results at all, or is that all?
Yeah, well, we're because they're all preliminary. They haven't actually been properly analyzed yet. You don't analyze until you gather all the data, but you can start to see trends. And so what our project is actually looking at, I'm sure you've read the documents, is seeing if exercise actually has an impact on word learning, but also sleep.
Yeah.
And it does look like there is a trend within the intervention group. So what we're doing is we're comparing them, not just looking at, how did they do from start to end, but we also want to compare them to a group who hasn't, just to make sure that these changes weren't just happening because they were happening by chance. So what we have seen is there's been, with the word learning, it would look from pre to post, if we weren't having a control group, that they'd actually, done quite well. But it seems like the control group has pretty much done very similar. So the results aren't all in, but there hasn't been as much change with word learning. So the learning side of it, and that's what we would expect, because within typically developed children, what we've done in past research is very similar, and we've seen that a good night of sleep actually does increase memory, and that's what we're kind of testing here. So so that. Those, even though they're not finished by any means, we may still see change. There hasn't been so much change there, but what we have seen is an increase in sleep time. So that's one thing that just, looking at descriptive, it's not what we call the inferential statistics, where we can infer that this is happening on a regular basis. That will come with later statistical analysis, but we can, just by looking at it, see a trend by looking at the averages. And on average, we're looking at, an hour to an hour and a half more sleep within the intervention group when compared to the control group.
Okay.
And that fits with our hypothesis. So we based this on something called the melatonin hypothesis. So melatonin in our body is naturally created, and it's what makes us sleepy. So when the lights go out and you start feeling like you're really sleepy, that's the release from a part of the brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus of the hypothalamus. This area of the brain releases melatonin, makes us feel sleepy, and gives us a good night's sleep. That's why we tell you not to have the blue lights on. Even if the lights are off and you're watching TV, you're not going to get as tired, because that isn't being released due to the blue lights, not at the same level anyway. So basically what we're working with is we're working with trying to replicate that, because what they do within autism is we sometimes actually provide medications around that. We give melatonin to children to help them with, severe sleep disturbance. But just like any medication, there's always side effects. Mm-hmm. So essentially what we're trying to do is mimic, what a drug would do, but through natural exercise. Wow. And so it does seem to have had some kind of an impact, because the more exercise they're doing, the more sleep they're getting. Now, we need to further analyze this. Obviously, we want to make sure that it's not just the hours slept, it's that parents are getting a good night's sleep too. So there's no point in measuring if they may have slept an extra hour and a half, but they might have woke up 3 or 4 times in the night. So we want to also reduce sleep interruption.